Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about peer support specialists in the context of AOT, and we're going to be hearing from Courtney Thornton, an AOT peer who works for Bay Area Behavioral Health. So we're going to hear a little bit about her experience working as an AOT peer and with AOT individuals, as well as her own lived experience she has with involuntary mental health treatment. So before I kick it over to Courtney, I wanted to share a little bit about peers in general. The Michigan Medicaid Manual defines peer support specialists as individuals with a strong personal knowledge of what it's like to have firsthand lived experience with mental health conditions that have caused a substantial life disruption. So, peer support specialists inspire hope and support others experiencing similar situations. So, through shared understanding and respect, they support people um, who are naturally non-compliant and inspire them to stay engaged in the recovery process. So to me, I think that the key words there is to stay engaged, because when talking about the AOT population, we all know that we're already talking about a group of people who do not have insight into their own need for mental health treatment. So by definition, these folks are more likely to be non-compliant and not want to voluntarily engage in services. So by introducing an AOT peer into the treatment team, this really allows for them to use their expertise and their lived experience in knowing how to keep folks engaged. Integrating that into the treatment plan and the treatment team can really, can really improve outcomes in that way for the individual. So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Courtney to tell you more about her role as an AOT peer and then later her lived experience.
My name is Courtney Thornton. I work at Bay Area Behavioral Health, and I am the peer on the Assisted Outpatient Treatment team. Definitely the one thing that motivated me to be a peer was um, to prevent people from going in such a dark place that I went into. Um, just just to just to be there and understand what they're going through and just know that there is help out there. There's people that are understanding, and so that way they don't go in such a dark place as I did. I've been a peer for eight years now. Um, yeah, previously I worked out in Saginaw, and now I'm out in Bay County. What I wish people knew about peers is that we're certified. A lot of the times the families just think like, oh, we're just gonna add another person into the mix here. And so I think that's important to know. That I mean, we have gone through a lot, and it is possible to get to this state where we can help others. And I think that's an important thing to know about an actual peer that's out there working, is that they are certified. And yeah, so there's some resiliency to offer. I think the most like the most frequent thing that I relate to others with and really connect is the just the loneliness, um, is what people feel. There is also the resistant part of they have nothing wrong with them. There's, so I mean, those are the challenges. I do enjoy those ones, but the loneliness is where I definitely connect with people because, even if they do have supports, it's maybe not the right support. So it can actually drive them worse. So um, I'm able to connect with a person that has a very just recently connected with a person that has a very overwhelming parent, and they just want to speak for them, and they want to take over the situation and talk to the doctor about their meds, and it doesn't make any sense, um, because the meds aren't in your body. You can't tell the doctor what's going on with them. It needs to come from them. So um, I really try to advocate there. But it's just that that's one thing that I've just experienced is, you have to tell a parent to step back, and that's really difficult for them. But you have to make them see that this is internal. This is what they're going through and not what you're going through, because it gets mixed up. Working with other professionals, I really wish they would take the time to consider all of the services that I've been through. I find a lot of people, oh, I have this degree, I can't, don't tell me what to do. And I don't think they realize that for 18 years now, I've been receiving several different services from several different people. And I just have peers do have good suggestions of new things to try when people aren't actively participating. So I think that's definitely something that they should consider, uh, because, you know, we didn't come out of nowhere. One thing that the coworkers got to realize is that I re traumatize myself every day. I am very vulnerable. I share my story. I go back in the moment. I share my feelings that happened. And so I think it's very important that coworkers realize that, you know, they may be off. I'm not the same person every single day, and I can't guarantee, stability. Don't worry, I'm talking to my therapist, still seeing the doctor, but like I think that's something that coworkers really need to consider is the amount of mental exhaustion that we go through every single day. As a case manager, I know, like, it is a rule that you do not share your life. It's not part of the job. Me and Jill were just talking about this. But like as a peer, that is my job. Like that is it. That's my job. But um, she kind of asked the same question as like, when do I share certain things? When do I open up? And it all depends on the circumstances. Whatever they're going through, if I can relate to it, absolutely. Um, if I've never been through it, first off, you've never been in anyone else's shoes. Let's clear that up right now. You've never been in someone else's shoes. Don't ever say, "Oh, yes, I know." Um, but you can relate to, similar feelings that they may be having. Um, and how it's really affecting their mental health. So, you relate to that aspect of it, is just relating to how these feelings are you know, affecting their day-to-day lives. So I went to a peer meeting, and they said as a peer, don't overshare. So it's funny because when I meet someone and they don't want to connect, we have nothing in common. I don't overshare. I just list all the things I've been through, and just, if you want to touch on any of them, then we can. But, like I just list them all off, and, if we want to, share stories and share, what had happened to us, that's totally up to them. Yeah. I think the best way to utilize a peer is to know where we connect with other individuals, knowing, but that comes upon the peers sharing their story as well. So I think the treatment team, I don't think they ask enough about people's stories. Um, I mean, our job is to share our story, and I think it's really important for the coworkers to ask about their story as well. So that way you can know who they're going to connect with most, who they're going to be understanding, how they're going to help people more in certain situations. So I think that's a really important thing to consider. Right now at my work, I'm being utilized for my experiences, but also my knowledge of kind of having nothing. A lot of our consumers don't have a lot of stuff, so I'm really good at finding resources. So I'm definitely being utilized in that aspect. So I'm really good. I can get people approved for Social Security, get free government phones. But another aspect that I do enjoy right now is there's a few people that I'm seeing and they're just I don't enjoy it. They're hopeless, but you go and you hang out with them and you just talk to them and day by day there's just a little bit more light and it's really um it's a great thing to watch. My favorite part about being a peer is just to see the progression that people have. It's it's really it's really amazing. Um And I can't say that enough because when you first start seeing them, it's just, and then as you keep seeing them, there's so much progression and it's just a beautiful thing because, when you first see them, it takes you back to, um, it really steps back me as a person as well. So you put yourself in their shoes and so you just walk with them and it's really amazing to see how they do their own journey. Something that I just recently did a couple days ago is I went to Delta College and we trained um, officers, the cadets in the police academy. We did scenarios with them and they did their thing and I it was just really nice because as a peer I got to act out, how people would act in certain situations and I was really good at it. I was like, well, but it was really great because I got to inform them on like you just terrified me. I had two guys coming at me and I'm like, you can't do that. Like, and it was really great because we learned from each other. But it was just a great opportunity that I've never got to do as a peer. So yeah. At the end of their training, they needed like 30 minutes of lived experience. And so I had to go up and share like my bad experiences with police. And I was like, like, you know, but it was nice. Like the police officers I went through all of the aspects of mental health and what it looks like and, like what they need to do to just kind of get on their level. So it was nice because they were asking questions and they were really really into it and wanted to know how to help better. So that was so nice to see.
I think something that Courtney was so beautifully able to articulate here is the real value of the peer on the treatment team and how they can be utilized to really enhance the experience of the individual going through treatment. They bring such a unique perspective to the table, and I think that is just invaluable and really important to the treatment team. So, thank you. Courtney was also kind enough to share a little bit about her lived experience and what she's experienced in her life that has informed her peer role.
Before I was sick, I point this out to my mother a lot because like I poke at her. I'm like, this is pretty obvious. So so like, she mentioned that like age 13 to 15, I I developed a voice and I was very loud. Before that, I was terrified of the world and very shy. So, that was my mom's her thought of when it happened. My thought of when it happened, it was in high school, and I began to be very loud and hyperactive, and everyone loved having me around because like I was the person to go to the party, and for so that would have been a sign to me at the time. That was not a sign. Like I was loving life and just so happy people liked me.
Wow.
so so yeah, so that would have been a sign for me. I mean, there's tons of signs that people don't know of. You know, when I was younger, I used to cut myself, but you do it like my mom had no idea. You know,
Mhm.
you do it on your leg. So, like, there's things like that, and I know some sexual things had happened to me, but for the most part, visually, for those people trying to catch it earlier or see it in someone earlier, I think just a traumatic, like a ginormous change in who they are. I went from completely shy to obnoxious.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, whether it's a good or bad change, it was good that I started to talk to people. But,
Yeah.
like it's you'll see a giant change in their personality. All right. So my mental health journey started when I was 18. Just out of high school. I was at Delta College and I had gone to the bathroom. And when I left the bathroom, I had no idea how to get back to my classroom. Um, I didn't know what I drove. I was trying to get into people's cars, trying to put my key in it. Back then, there was keys. So, I didn't know who my parents were. It just like it was a complete wipeout. At a certain moment, I hopped into a guy's vehicle thinking it was mine, and it was not. And he asked me if I was okay, and I knew something wasn't right. And so I hopped out and I ran over. Um, so I got picked up. I asked if I wanted to eat. I didn't know I could eat food. So, and then I was taken to the ER and sedated. And then I woke up at an inpatient facility. So it is very dramatic. You wake up somewhere and you have no idea where you're at. Because you don't remember the admission or anything like that. You just wake up in a bed and you're locked in. And so, you know, it, that was the very first experience with my with my mental illness. So when I woke up inpatient, um, I mean it was panic. Your heart's racing. You have no idea who you are or where you're at. So I had called my I had called my dad on the phone. Um, I was just so terrified. I was complete daddy's girl. So daddy saved me from everything. So, but so I remember calling him and just begging him. I begged him to come pick me up and just to get me out of there. And it was really hard on my dad too because he knew he was Superman. So he even started crying. He's like, "I'm so sorry. Like I can't baby doll. I can't come get you." So it turned into instant rage, and I, I I wasn't supposed to be there. I didn't deserve to be there, and to be fair, it's just a moment, but it was a very important moment to take care of. But the first day, ultimately, I ended up in the quiet room. I just and when you get that amount of um your adrenaline goes and you gain power when you have adrenaline. So which happened a lot during my manic attacks, but it was I was kicking the door open. They couldn't shut the door on the quiet room. Um, so eventually, they got the door shut, and I just remember asking for my volleyball. I love volleyball. So they rolled the ball in probably pretty quick and shut the door. And so um I went into a different, I'm probably just left my body, I don't know. But once I got to that moment that this is going on, um, like I'm here and clearly not getting out of these walls. You have a million questions, and the individualized time in those places is not great. So for someone to have the time to speak to me and go over the 5,000 questions I have um, was not available. So I realized I was getting meds and I had to take them. So all the questions were about the meds, like what is this doing to me? What is this for? Like, and I'm just like, I have to take these meds. Like I have to. So you're just so confused. You're trying to fill in gaps, get answers, and the availability for that is just not, it's not there. That's why peers are so awesome. So when am I leaving? What am I, you do this, you can leave. Okay, so you cooperate. You and you just you're so like caged, and so like what other options did I have but to take pills so I could get out and go back to what I knew. You know, so every time you go in, life starts over. It's a wipeout. Like I lost my job. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's ethical, but I lose my job. You know, fresh out of high school, I lost all my friends, and it's not different the next time. Um, you might have, well, to be honest, I have one friend that it's not different with. So I do have one friend that chose to understand. Um, and I wasn't always her greatest friend because of some of my behaviors, but that was about the only thing that was different was her. When I first got sick, I did not hear from her for like 2 years. Um, and it was, turns out, wasn't because of me. Not that it's any better, but her mom had a stroke. So that was really sad too. Um, like I said, is life starts over. You're pulled from everything. And I was pulled from being a support for my friend, and that really that really hurt. Um, so yeah, so she was a large support system. She was she was the one that found me when I wouldn't answer mom or dad. So that's a huge thing. I was able to trust that nothing bad was going to happen when she found me. Like she wasn't going to take me to the hospital. She wasn't going to do, like, so I truly trusted her. And, I would call her and share, I would reach out to her. And most of the times I was lost, and she would try to figure out where I was. Like, we're just waiting for a crossroad, like literally a crossroad, just so I could read a sign and we could try to figure out where I was at. Um, so yeah, she was a really huge support system. I love her dearly. Me and my dad were always super close. Definitely became more of like best friends. The like the 5 years before he passed. So, but I always trusted him. So we had a very very strong bond. And I don't think you can ever break that. So when that's there, when that level of trust is there, you're able to go to them easy, like a little more easy. My brother, he's just such a good guy. He helped at home. Um, when I first got sick, when I finally got disability, he said that he would be my payee. So that meant a lot to me. He's always been there for me, and him and my dad, just a hug. So um, they say 5 hugs a day can save a person. So yeah, so just a big bear hug from my dad, from my brother. So he was awesome, and he did what his mom told him to do. And he watched over me. I mean, I pretty much just sat at the table, and I wrote a book, which um and um I remember my brother reading it, and I was missing all the small words. I was missing two and the and a. My mind was going so fast. He was just always there. My brother was, and I, I could trust him. Um, my my worst supporter when I was sick was my mother. um, uh, we didn't have a close bond growing up, so I already didn't have a good feel for her. Things are better now. But so when she would try to help when I was not feeling good, it was bad. It was really bad. It escalated everything. Even though she was coming from a good place and she wanted to help, like it brought up like instant fear, anger, like anxiety, like another level of anxiety than what I'm feeling. Um, the one manic attack, I thought she was going to kill me. Like I pulled up and already thinking she's gonna kill me. And so there's a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and there's like a hole. My mom loves gardening. Like she plants flowers and bushes all the time. So in my mind at this moment, she's already dug a hole for me. So like she was not the person to call at all, like not the person to reach out. And you know, I just want everyone to know I'm sure that hurts your feelings. My mom took it so personally, and I feel terrible about it. But like I told, like when I was feeling better, I'm like, get over it. Like what? It's like, oh my God, get over yourself. Like the moments you. So it kind of shows kind of where her focus was too. It was on her feelings. And I will say, when you come to help a person, you better be focused on them. Um, they're gonna know. I mean, I just felt it. I knew my mom was not all about me. And, in that moment, just don't take offense to it, because I mean, we get along, we talk, and we're back to the normal. I'm not quite a fan of her, but like she's not out to kill me anymore. So, so, you know, so I want to really like make sure people know, if you're a very close family member or a very close friend, and you gave birth to this child and now they don't want anything to do with you, like don't be there in the background, be there to support, help coordinate rides, like you know, don't be so upset that that person doesn't want to talk to you, because it's for the best until they get better and you can reconnect with them. But yeah, when I first got sick, it was hard to stay in one spot for very long. I wasn't always feeling good, I wasn't always sleeping. So not a whole lot of people liked me, from the coworker or the manager aspect. um so, I had a lot of people not like me. And then when you're struggling, so I had a lot of 3-month jobs. My first like step into stability for employment is I worked at McDonald's, and that is the most fast-paced environment you could ever be in. And that was perfect for me. Like I was all over the place. Like for me to stand in one spot was terrible. So like I was all about that. So I worked the grill, and like it was an 8-hour workout. I would sweat seriously for like 8 hours. Um and it was amazing. It was really, it honestly was really good for my mental health. But that helped having great supervisors and the store manager. So they were really down to earth, and really good people. And at that point in life, I realized that I need to tell everyone what is wrong with me. So, when she first met me, I was like, bleh. So, like, like, here's this. So I'm getting Social Security as well. So if we could just like make my hours work around that, if you don't mind. And um, I'm not the most reliable. Transportation's not reliable. So if you set up, because they'll give you like 3 hour shifts or 4 days. Yeah, so she grouped them for me. She let me stay in the grill area. And I was actually able to become a manager. That I was like, it was pretty cool. So they never done that before. And she actually did that to help me reach the most possible I could make with my Social Security in the worst shift or the least shifts. So it was pretty cool. Like I was a manager. I was like a shift manager. I made more money an hour, so I could keep my smaller shifts or you know frequency. So she was awesome, and that really made a difference because I didn't give up. Um, I didn't walk away from it. And so like it's so helpful to have, like, I work 40 hours a week now. Um so she was a huge step into it. And then my case manager at the same time found me to be a perfect fit to be a peer support specialist. So working on a team, he made it so I didn't have to go to the meetings in the morning because it was overwhelming. A lot of people talked over each other, and I couldn't handle it. And when I needed to talk, I couldn't talk. They didn't listen. So it was just like my brain was exploding while this was happening. So, like I'd be shaking at the end of a meeting. It was really hard to do. So he allowed me to come in at like 9 o'clock. So I'd walk in at the end of the meeting, and not everyone was a fan that I got to do that. Like she gets to come in at 9, like, and you're mad I got here late because taking my kids to school. Like, yeah, you have coworkers that are not a fan of the special treatment, I guess, the adjustments to the work um that I am given, but you're very grateful for those people. And then other teammates were very very outspoken, and those are the ones that I got along best with. Butted heads with them occasionally, but you know, I I I got better and was able to spread my wings when I knew people were being the most honest with me. Um, so that gave me the courage to know that I could do this. Yeah, so the teamwork and just feeling like you're part of something, and just the reassurance. So yeah. Now, um, I have bipolar, I have anxiety, I have depression, um, I have paranoia. Nothing is good when I don't sleep. So, like, just not like it is. I feel when I'm on the line. Like, if I do not get, if I don't sleep tonight, like, I'm going to see the people that feel like they're next to me, um, so yeah, so today the amount of things that I've learned about myself helps me stay in the game, I guess. Because I did nothing but research because like I'm the kind of person that needs to know. I gotta know like what is going on, what does that mean, what is that word? Like let me look that up. And it's like, oh yeah, so I advocated for myself. I told a psychiatrist that he had no idea what he was talking about. And I didn't have a lot of friends in the doctor's offices, but guess what? I have my special potion that keeps me getting up every day and keeps me from staying in my bed and keeps me from, also driving out to the middle of nowhere thinking that my mom's going to kill me. So, that is that is a very large range of things to keep in check. Just from like 0 to 100, like 0 in bed, 100 to I don't even know where I'm at. So that's just a range, that's a large range of things to keep in check. And so medications, like I advocated for myself, like I'm not taking multiple doses, I'm not going to remember. So that was it. I told him, like, figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm not taking those doses anyways. Like why are we doing this? So like I got on track with that. Started I don't need an alarm for my medication anymore because now I have it all in the morning. I just do it first when I get up. Sometimes I go through like really hard times. My dad passed away, so that was it's gonna be 6 years. Okay, so 6 years ago. Okay, I'm still going through it, and I don't think that's just mental illness. I think that's everybody. That's a grieving process. Um, so I have days where like I cannot breathe. I'm in my car. I'm just bawling and I'm heaving, like, and I can't breathe. I At that time, I had Dan. He was a great supervisor. I'd call him and be like, I can't do it today. Like, I can't. Like, I'm so sorry. I still have 3 people left. And I would apologize 50 million times because, like, I was so, like, proud of what I I brought to the table. Like, so it was just like, um, uh, it was humiliating. It was, I, it, the, it's just, I don't know if the humbling is the correct word. But you got to put your hands up some days and just say it's not today. You made it to work. I always tell people that, like, I will, no matter what, I will come to work, because the day I don't might be the day I never come back. So every day, just getting dressed. For a while I struggled. I had to pre-plan my clothes, like for your kindergartner. You lay them out in the morning, like, the night before. So I did that for myself for a while. You become very forgetful. So I used to take pictures of my outfits, the ones I thought were cute. So I would remember like how I put outfits together, because some days are really hard. You make it out of bed, but you don't know where to go from there. I got out of bed, now what? Like, it's an all day battle. I've developed great coping skills. So now I have like 2 beautiful little girls. Um, this is gonna make me cry. So, they're my absolute world. I will do anything for them. I will do anything for their emotions. My 3-year-old can explain her emotions better than like better than anyone. Like, she will come up to me and say, "Mom, I'm sad," and she'll tell me why. And this is a 3-year-old, and don't get me wrong, she has her moments, but like, and because I I make it through every day for those girls, and I have moments while I'm with them, and I always make sure I come back and I say, like, I'm very sorry for the way I acted, like, because I'm not proud of, some of my yelling outbursts, or, apparently that's normal for every mom, but like, I've really put emphasis on control for me, and, you know, control of your emotions while you're talking to someone is essential. It's funny though, because I really work on my coping skills and my anger and like trying to keep it together for my kids. So one night she's having a tantrum in the bathroom, and we're in this little space. So, doors closed because the 1-year-old wants to get in. And so I'm trapped with this tantrum and screaming. And I just sat on the floor and I was taking deep breaths. And my 3-year-old gets down. She sits on the floor and she starts taking deep breaths with me. And like that was I just like that was the most hilarious moment in my life. I will not forget that because she's like it's like so dramatic because she's 3, so like she's just sucking in all
Yeah.
the air in the room and just like so it was. I mean, it was great. So like I said, like uh, my kids are just everything. So I do everything from that for them.
Thank you so much, Courtney, for sharing your valuable experience and your story with us. After the fact, Courtney shared with me, I wanted to ask what is one of your go-to strategies for someone who isn't engaging in their treatment? And what she said to me is she essentially likes to approach them with meeting them where they're at and asking them, well, what do you need? Instead of saying like, here's what I need from you to be compliant, I guess meet them where they're at and say, what do you need from me? Whether that be, I need a phone or I need to just get out of the house today and to go on a walk, to go to the store, just to address whatever they feel that they need that day. And in a process that has already taken away some of their autonomy, making that approach person centered in that way can really help with engagement and building trust and building rapport. So it's so incredibly important to see the critical role peers can play on the AOT team. By keeping them engaged, they're more likely to experience those positive outcomes. I also asked Courtney what she felt the difference was between an AOT peer and peers in other scenarios. And what she said to me is that it's different in the way that other folks who utilize peers have already made the decision to change in a way. They're already seeking help in a voluntary way and may or may not have, a good idea of what they need help with. So with AOT, it's different because that person is in a whole different part of the stages of change. They're most likely in that pre-contemplative stage, which makes their needs higher, and your interaction with them and your trust with them needing to be uh, needing to be on point per se. And you are meeting them at their most vulnerable times in their lives. So your approach in helping them, or her approach in helping them, tends to be more holistic in looking at every sector of their life. So thanks again, Courtney, for sharing your expertise with us, and I hope that everyone was able to walk away with the idea of how AOT peers can be so integral in contributing expertise to keeping this population engaged. Thank you.